Okay, our next presenter is Shane Madden with Hydreight.
Hi, everybody. Waiting for a couple of people. Thank you. So here to present Hydreight. Very excited to present this company. We feel it has a great ability to grow. Feel it has an opportunity to be the outlier in the industry. So it's going to move along here from a few slides. Perfect. So Andreessen Horowitz said that the next big company in the next decade is going to be a health tech company. So we feel Hydreight is positioned to fill that void. If I move along here to our vision and just tell you a little bit about what Hydreight is. So Hydreight created the first health and wellness platform across all 50 states. The vision was to provide a platform where the healthcare professionals could actually monetize their credentials outside of the traditional bricks and mortar setting. Hydreight has a PC network structure that is a legal structure that allows that. So moving along here. I'll go back to this one. So anywhere, anytime. So with that structure, the platform allows the healthcare professionals to work, as I said, outside of the bricks and mortar clinic healthcare on our platform in a legal compliant way. So what Hydreight had to do to solve this industry space was solve all barriers to entry. So I'm going to bounce around slides here a little bit because they're not all in order. Just wanted to give you an overview of the vision of what we solve in the industry and how Hydreight is positioned to take over. So moving along here just a second. So Hydreight's model is to allow the healthcare professional to sign up as on a subscription-based model. Basically, we charge a platform fee, joining fee of about $4,000. Every service that is done on the platform, we take 10% of the service sale, and then we have a pharmacy component as well, where we take 20% of the gross margin. Getting back to the opportunity, there's 4.5 million nurses in the United States. Hydreight, as we go on here, has captured a large amount of those. Initially, about 1,000 locations. We are growing at a rate of approximately 100 a month and moving on from there. So going back here to our vision. So just before I move on to how the company is doing and the opportunity that's there, essentially, when we envisaged this company as a healthcare platform, we had to remove all of the barriers to entry that would have made this impossible. So what would they be? So moving on here, just to the slide. I'm sorry for the bouncing around, guys. So some of the barriers to entry. I think there's a slide missing here. So medical direction. If you're to operate outside of a hospital or a clinic compliantly, you must have a medical director. Okay, you must have a legal structure to be able to offer that service. What most people don't know about this space is it is illegal in 30 of the 50 states to actually operate outside of a bricks and mortar. Hydreight fills that void, offering technology as the bridge between patient and provider. Hydreight has positioned itself very, very strongly as a leader in this industry. Moving along. Again, revenue stream. Hydreight has an annual subscription model, so providers will pay to join the platform. Obviously, when services are done on the platform via our legal structure, Hydreight takes a service fee of about 10% of each sale, and Hydreight also is the pharmaceuticals. So moving on with how this is so difficult for providers to do this outside of the hospital is access to pharmacy. So it's not only the legal structure, it's not only the compliancy that is illegal in 30 of the 50 states, medical direction, a technical platform that joins patients with providers in a never before done way. Also, the pharmaceutical piece is a crucial piece. We also have a white label technology. This is aimed at companies who would like to use our base platform, but are essentially already in business, doing business, and cannot be under another brand, but would like to utilize our technology. So some of the barriers to entry that I've kind of touched on, but I'm going to go into more detail here. So corporate practice of medicine laws. As I said, 30 of the 50 states, this is actually illegal for a healthcare professionals to operate. Hydreight fills that void. In the other 20 states, it is extremely regulated to where it's almost not worth doing or too expensive. Forming an LLC is not something that the nurses need to do. This is why we're referred to as the Uber of wellness. Uber did not, reinvent the wheel. Paying for transportation has always been there, but they reinvented or reimagined how the connection between the service provider and the customer was done. That is what Hydreight has done with the healthcare industry. So the patients and the nurses are connecting in a very different way via the technical platform, via modern means that everybody's used to with the mobility, etc. Medical insurance. Hydreight's challenge was to either solve all of the barriers to entry for this space, or we have not a complete platform. So everything from, as I said, the legality to the medical director to providing malpractice insurance, access to pharmacy, which is a very difficult thing on its own. 503B pharmacies, which is the space that this operates in, is very difficult to have across all 50 states. Not one 503B actually services all 50 states. So Hydreight has solved that through a network of 503B pharmacies and a master license. Again, we don't want to sell tobacco to a non-smoker. So we're not asking these nurses to turn into anything that they're not already comfortable doing. So we want it to be the platform for everybody to operate on. So pharmaceutical menus, again, they're not a pharmacist. So providing that for them with our doctor of pharmacy so that they can focus on what they're good at, which is giving care. Aesthetics and pre and post care form. This kind of goes into the nuts and bolts of actually giving a service. It's one thing to have an idea and a model. It's a whole other dynamic to actually make it feasible in the day-to-day business. Physician to service telemedicine calls. Again, telemedicine, as these states are actually starting to crack down again post-COVID. A lot of laws were relaxed pre-COVID, but now they're all starting to crack down again, which makes a platform like ours a necessity, okay? Already we're the only platform that offers this across all 50 states, but the way regulations are starting to be reintroduced and actually increased, a platform like ours with the structure is the only way to actually do business. Service provider hiring process, onboarding, all of the traditional things that you would have a challenge with doing on your own that would even be remotely feasible to do financially. So again, our model, we take 10% of every service that's done. We have a subscription model currently. And then as we are the full end-to-end solution, when we supply the pharmaceutical sales, we take an average of 20% markup. Now that, however, through our buying power, still gives the service provider the best in industry pricing. So that is a crucial piece to actually get everything going. So that's kind of the overview of Hydreight. As I said, we were the first and are still the only platform of its kind. Very difficult to operate across all 50 states, even some largest healthcare organizations, hospitals don't do that. So how has the company been going? 2021, we had 1.7 million top line. 2022, 6.5 million. And we're estimated for 6.5. We're actually on track for that estimation. March of this year was our first month to ever do $1 million in gross revenue. Top line revenue, should I say. April is on track to actually beat March. So these revenues that you're seeing in estimations are actually on track. Total revenue, as you see, 2021, 956,000. 2022, 3.3 million, and estimated to be about 9.5 in 2023. If you look at the percentage increases here from 2021 to 2022, you see about 285% top line. We've only estimated 150% from 2022 to 2023, which is very, very lean on our estimation. If you look at adjusted profit, 2021, obviously we spent a lot of money on tech and expanding the business. 2022, 200,000, and then estimated to be 1.3 million in 2023. Again, we're on these. How do we get there? So from our model, the amount of locations that we're in across the country has a drip down effect, a direct drip down effect, because the more locations we're in, the more pharmaceutical purchases there are. the more services are done. So 2021, 102, 2022, 707, and we're on track to do approximately 1,500 in 2023. So again, you can kind of see our progression there. These are, again, that projection for 2023 is on track to be hit. We've just done back-to-back months of the record for the company. Moving forward to kind of showcase, these are all USD. Moving forward to kind of showcase the opportunity here that we feel lies within Hydreight and in this space. I'm just going to move on a slide here. As I said, they're not there. So we feel like Hydreight's valuation, because of the slide that we just and the numbers we just discussed, is very low. If you look at the enterprise value here, Hydreight versus the market cap, Hydreight is 4.74. The median is around 15. Okay, so if Hydreight hits, if I go back one, hits its numbers, which it's on track to do, we should have a market cap by the end of the year approximately of $150 million. If we work off of the median, that's up here. Some of the comparisons that you'll see in the industry have a much higher 26, 22, and obviously a 7 there versus their revenue. So we feel like Hydreight's positioned from not only its business model and its uniqueness, but also from its actual revenue and growth that is organic, to have a significant market capital and actually to be a really good entry point here. Right there. So upcoming catalysts, the numbers that we just spoke about, and the projections and the revenue, they're all from our organic growth. So there's nothing big picture or acquisition-wise that we've been working on that's included in those. So some of the big things that we're actually working on outside of the organic side is some acquisitions. We're in talks with about 3 right now. We had a projected top line of 15 to 20 million each. So some of those areas where we have more access to our end user as a service provider, i.e. a nurse, are acquisitions and companies that we're very interested in talking to. Expanding our services. So Hydreight started out with IV therapy as kind of its flagship product. It was much easier for laws and legality in all 50 states, and also access to pharmaceuticals was better. Again, a lot of these things have cracked down, and Hydreight is positioned as one of the only companies to be able to service those laws. But we are expanding into aesthetics, neurotoxins, fillers, all of those very popular products, and lab tests. On the lab test piece, it's kind of a very general term. Lab tests are starting to get more and more necessary for some of the patient-specific products. So NAD, which deals with addiction, semaglutide, which is almost like a magic drug for weight loss. All of these things require lab tests. And the Hydreight platform allows our service providers to be the only people. Also, the Hydreight platform, in the case of another pandemic, would be one of the only mobilized across all 50 states national service provider companies to be actually positioned to be able to go into the home and give health and wellness there. So some of the other things that we're looking at is a medical dispatch. So this is the evolution of the company from a B2B into a B2C offering as well, to support the service providers and to be busier. Again, we get likened to Uber a lot. Essentially, we're trying to drive the customers to the platform in a much more diverse way across all 50 states. So we're bringing on a medical dispatch with RNs to be able to speak to customers directly, advise, and appropriate the booking. Hydreight University and Training Center. This is to give continued education to the service providers that we have. Continued education in not only the services that we're about to roll out, but also additional trainings, and make everybody much more skilled in what they're doing. Increasing the number of products and partnership to expand. This is more B2B relationships that we have through our vendors, expanding lab testing nationally. We just kind of spoke about that. And adding more white labels. We get reached out to a lot because of the regulations in the states that are coming down very heavily post-COVID. A lot of the companies are not structured for this. So our technology is becoming more valuable to actually be able to facilitate these companies. Expanding services to other countries. So obviously, with 4.5 million nurses in the US and with a huge market to continue to grow, we're not going to take our focus off of the US. However, we are looking to expand into Canada, Brazil, the United Kingdom, and eventually Greece, with Greece being number 4 on that list. We have connections with different companies and different vendors in each of these countries to make that very, very feasible. But again, the US is our primary focus. Right here. So just some key partners that we work with, very large companies, McKesson, Medline. You'd have heard of these before. SureScripts, which is the national provider for telemedicine. And just a quick message on Anita Farrelly, who is one of our nurses, just to give you kind of the overview of the potential of the platform. Anita was one of our early nurses. We were one of the main sponsors last year at the National Nurse March, where 40,000 nurses marched in front of the White House because of low pay, difficult working conditions, etc. Anita was so successful on our platform that she actually left the hospital and now has 10 nurses working under her in the Scottsdale area. So a huge success story, and something that showcases the ability of the platform. Cap table. So again, very tight structure. Only 37.8 million shares out there. The company VST, which is the Victory Square Technologies, which is the main 100% owner back in 2020, and the main stockholder since Hydreight went public. We believe very strongly in this company, so there's a very tight structure there. Moving forward, and yeah, just looking to hear some questions for anybody that is interested. Yes, 72% approximately of the shares. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So the thing, can I expand a little bit more on the B2B versus B2C? So the B2B, we would consider more service providers. So nurses, as you saw from our slide, we brought 707 on. We're estimated to bring about 1,500 on. So they can be considered nurses or locations. So that would be what we would consider the B2B. So similar to an expansion that Uber had, you have to be in enough locations before you bring on the customers. So Hydreight's in that position now where we are turning our attention to surrounding the providers with more customers. So on the B2C side, we're going after the clients. So we're going to do a number of things, not only traditional marketing that you would see, but also our Hydreight Dispatch, which is qualified RNs, working on more of a dispatch type of where somebody would come in, has a question, and we'll appropriate the booking there. Any other questions, guys? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the company's in a very strong cash position. Actually, the money from the initial go public raise is sitting in a high savings account. The company is cash flow positive, obviously growing from the slide we showed. So from a cash position, it's very strong. No need to. Unless we have an acquisition that we want to really strongly go after, there's no need to be doing any further raises. It's in a very good trajectory and very cash strong. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. One of the main reasons to actually go public from where the company was trajectory was going was to maybe use the stock as a second currency in some potential acquisitions. So we are actively looking at those that would directly either affect the B2B side, which is bring us access to more nurses, or the B2C side. Yeah. So the question was, if the cash position is 2.5, what is the current cash position, right? Yeah. So the monthly burn is approximately $240,000 to $250,000 US. But the company is obviously on track to hit its projected targets. So it is doing you know, the numbers to take care of that. Yeah. Yeah. Strategic investor. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that was that should be all kind of involved in the one there. Yeah. Yeah. Should be connected there. I think that's an incorrect line, right, Fahid? Yeah.
So the insider ownership, 74%. 8% strategy investor, part of the nomination. There was a group of the strategy investors. They have access to the capital. They're holding their stock as well, and that. Okay, which was 72 out of 74, or less than that? I don't know.
No. Yeah.
Share structure. Any plans for
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're new. So we just went public in December, as you know. Obviously, our entire business is in the United States. So we didn't do really anything until the OTC listing, right? And obviously, we went to London last for a family office event. And this is essentially the first time it's getting in front of a group. Yeah. So again, everybody feels super strong about this company. That's why the structure is so tight. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Right.
Tell us a little bit about your acquisition.
Absolutely. So the question was to talk a little bit more about the acquisition strategy on the B2B side. So some of the companies we're talking to right now are nurse recruitment companies, which have access to very large amounts of nurses. But again, are very young in their trajectory as a company. So the ability for us to support them, travel nursing is an industry on its own where they do contracts for a period of time, and then there's a big long layoff in between. So for us, access to the nurses would be huge. For that company that is a potential acquisition, access to a platform to monetize their credentials in between would also be very beneficial. So those are very high on our list. Obviously, anything that's either directly B2B or directly B2C are something we're looking at right now. Very near. We're in talks with 3 companies right now. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, yeah. So the question was, are Victory Square helping out in any other way? So Victory Square, their model is an incubator model. So one of the reasons for the acquisition was that big brother for this company who is already about to go, but needed that extra support. So not only in structure, management skill, Vahid is directly involved, obviously, as the president of Hydreight Technologies. Huge help in structuring and basically, not to put it too, throwing fuel on the fire of what was already there and expanding. So very hands-on and very, very valuable. The company wouldn't be here today without that involvement. Absolutely not. Yeah. Do you want to add for Victory Square?
So Victory Square is over involved. Right now, when you talk about the digital house, nobody's focusing on nurses. The number of the nurses in the United States, and they are like secondary in the way that they can provide them. So Victory Square believes in the direction of this company. We could have kept this private and won't have to. But that's the belief on the direction that we have. I was going public, not only having the organic push, but also having exponential by acquiring other assets that can be complementary to what Hydreight does. Hydreight is creating that network of nurses. These nurses can have multiple different offerings, from IT all the way to essential. It can be extension of the hospital. It can be, the lab tests that, the people have to wait in the office right now, to a static that we're adding right now in May. By having this, being public and having, first of all, the stock, as, you mentioned, it's become liquid. So we can get investors from all over the world. Not only that, our business partners for nurses can become our shareholders. So all the nurses that right now is working with us, they all become the shareholders, and they can become a shareholder of the company. So
how long would they become the shareholders?
So right now for the nurses, any marketing that we do directly to not only our nurses but also any users on the app. So if you guys have the coupons under that, you can download the app today and have a nurse come to your room today or tomorrow, wherever you want. Actually try the whole thing as get an ID to see how practical it is. Now we're also working with some security builders to see, because all these nurses, they pay out from us. The money, because of the laws and regulations, goes to their account and they get paid out. We're trying to come up with a way that up to 10% of their payout can be done by stock. So it's kind of a small private placement, help with the liquidity in the market that we're going to have more of the stock right now. Number two, it's going to have all these nurses become our shareholders. So they're going to actually feel better to be part of the bigger company. So to answer to your question, because of this vision, DSC took the company public. Otherwise, we could have kept it private as it was like.
But that we get looking at your revenue projections. Victory Square, are they going to be, at the end of the day, like how long do they want to be for how long? Like they're incubators, so there's going to be a point where there's, you guys got your wings and off you went. So what's their exit strategy look like?
We're long-term in our portfolio company. So the very first company that we went public here, which was public, was Samsonite. We went public 3 years ago. We still own, we're the largest shareholder in Samsonite. We have some liquidity down past 3 years, but we believe in this company. We feel Hydreight is going to be the next big thing. That it's actually the same way that, again, Uber made it easy for drivers to stop providing services without having a single car ownership. We feel Hydreight is the same thing. We're going to have the nurses at the platform to provide their services at their convenience, to have it on the schedule, and also make it.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Vahid.
Can you discuss what is planned beyond the IP acquisition at the one that will start the other services?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question was, when are the plans to roll out the other procedures and services? So the two that we mentioned here that are next on the line is lab testing and aesthetics. So they're due to be rolled out between May and the early part of June. So basically within the next 4 to 6 weeks. The reason Hydreight and a platform like Hydreight is so valuable is the structure to that rollout. So Hydreight is obviously a legal structure, a technology on top of that connects the patients and the service providers, but also it has the medical direction behind that. Also the legality within the states. So each 50 states is like a little country compliancy wise. So we roll it out in a very structured way. So lab testing, for example, is not just your regular home lab testing that you go on and order. It needs to be done in a certain way for certain products. So I mentioned NAD and semaglutide. Those two services to be done, which are extremely popular, that's the reason I bring them up, they need a lab test prior. So there's a whole flow of service provider, telemedicine, results of that lab test, dispatch a service provider, and do the service. So these things are not easily done. Bricks and mortars are doing them essentially in very small pockets. Hydrate's a platform that does that across all 50 states. So that's on the lab testing, as well as your traditional home lab test that everybody does or likes to do. The aesthetic side is going to be a very valuable earner for the nurses, because essentially the upside, the profit on those types of services, neurotoxins, fillers, are very, very high. So those two are being rolled out in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. Being told there's 3 minutes left. So any other questions? absolutely. So the question was, any risk to stop us growing in the next 4 to 6 months? The only risk essentially to how we're structured is if the state laws came out and essentially banned mobile medicine, which is not going to be the way. As we all know, since COVID, things are actually going the other way. Now they are cracking down on some of the laws that were being relaxed during COVID, which actually shines more of a light on a platform like ours. So honestly, giving you the honest answer, that would be the big risk. We have no control over what a state board would say, but I think if we looked at it logically, it's actually going the other way. I'm told there's 1 minute left. If there's any other questions? Yep. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So the question was cost of acquisition per nurse and the metric involved. So the numbers you're seeing right now are with approximately 650 nurses live. Others are pending. There's an onboarding process where nurses come on, and that can take a couple of weeks. And due to our scalability, there's a couple of hundred that are pending to go live. So again, these numbers we feel are very conservative. Cost for acquisition is traditional, acquisition of the customer, marketing, getting them on an introductory discovery call, onboarding costs, and moving forward from there. But with our subscription model, we get very committed service providers. We're not getting people that are coming on to chance their arm or try this for a week or two. They've signed up for their first year. They're committed to the process. They understand the protections that we provide, not only legally, but insurance-wise, the training that we give, and essentially they're on the journey to make this a success. I've just been told I'm out of time. So guys, thank you very much for all your questions. Appreciate it. Thank you.